श्री सच्चिदानंद सद्गुरु साईनाथ महाराज की जय. Sri Sai Satcharitra, an Insight, Episode 123. My humble prostrations at the lotus feet of our Sadguru Sai. By the divine grace of Sai, an attempt has been made to translate the gist of the divine discourse of Sri Ramanathan Brother, telecasted in Sai TV. This is purely done to share the glory of Sai and his divine teachings with more insight to the aspirants. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnuhu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahmam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Devotees, we are almost at the closing of chapter 23. We listen to the marvelous divine sport played by Sri Sai Maharaj in expounding the Guru Bhakti of Sri Gaga Sahib Dikshit Ji. Let me sum up quickly on the events of this Leela. To recall, Dikshit Ji was asked to kill a goat by Sri Sainath, and when he got ready to obey the orders, he was stopped by Sri Sai Baba. Now what happened to this goat? Did it die or was it killed by someone? Let's listen to the stories now. Sri Sai Maharaj declared thus, "Let us kill this goat ourselves. Now bring this goat to Takya." Where is this Takya situated? All those devotees who had visited Shirdi Sai Samadhi Mandir must be aware of an arena that is exactly behind Mahadev, Shani and Ganapati Mandirs. You might have also noticed that in front of this arena there would be a small group of devotees trying to look through the window of the Mandir complex as they can glimpse at one side of the divine face of Sri Sai in Samadhi Mandir from this spot. This place was the Takya. The word Takya is derived from a Turkish term. The place of the solemn weekly assembly of the Sufi saints is known as Takya. We do not know the reason behind Sri Sai calling this place as Takya, but devotees might recollect that during the initial days of Sri Sai's arrival to Shirdi, Maharaj would wear anklets known as ganguri in his legs, sing the dohas of Sant Kabir and dance merrily to the divine chants accompanied with drums and other musical instruments. Many would assemble there and participate in this blissful event. As instructed by Sri Sai Maharaj, the goat was to be taken to Takya. The goat was already weak and looked as though it is nearing its death. Now, even before it reached this place, on the way it fell down dead. So none slaughtered it. Hence, nobody will bear the sin of killing this goat as it died on its own. These events are recorded in Sri Sai Satcharitra, and after giving a detailed narration on this Leela, Hemat Panji is now classifying the devotees into three categories. The first one is the Uttama devotee, that is the ideal and the best one. Next is the Madhyama devotee, which means the mediocre, and finally the Adama devotee, that is the inferior one. The ideal devotee is the one who anticipates the Guru's desire and upon realizing it accomplishes the task of the Guru even before it is pronounced by the Guru. The mediocre devotee will wait for the order of the Guru, and as soon as it is uttered, he carries out the orders and completes the work without any delay. The inferior or base devotee is the one who postpones the instructions of the Guru with or without a reason, or fails to execute the orders of the Guru even after repeated reminders. Listeners, we heeded to the above Leela in which Sri Sai instructed his devotees to kill the goat, and Dikshit Ji was the only one prepared to carry out the orders, which was later stopped, and then the goat met its end as ordained by the Lord. This divine sport exemplified the Guru Bhakti of Sri Dikshit Ji. Similar stories narrated in the Holy Bible, as they are more interesting and mind-boggling. We shall listen to it now. This is in the book of Genesis, the first book of the Hebrew Bible and the Christian Old Testament, under chapter 22, the verses 1 to 14 describes a miracle in which God tested Abraham. Abraham didn't have a son, and when he became very old, a son was born to him and was named Isaac. At that very moment, God appeared and promised him that his descendants will multiply as the stars in the sky and as the sand on the seashore. Abraham loved his son the most and brought him up well. Sometime later, God decided to test Abraham. So he said to him, "Take your only son whom you love and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on a mountain I will show you." Abraham never questioned a word, but had unswerving faith on the Lord. So, next day early morning, he set out to the hill that was pointed by the Lord with his son Isaac, carrying the wood for the burnt offering, fire, and the knife. After reaching the place, he built an altar there, arranged the wood, and placed his son on top of it. Now, when he was about to take his knife to slay his son, he heard the voice of the angel of the Lord from heaven calling out for him, "Abraham, now stop. Don't do anything to your son, because you were ready to sacrifice your son as a burnt offering to the Lord. The Lord is very pleased, and instead of your only son, you take this ram and sacrifice it as an offering to the Lord." Abraham followed the instructions of the angel and sacrificed the ram in place of his son. Now the angel blessed Abraham thus, "You have not questioned the Lord's orders, but as a fervent devotee, you were even ready to give up your only son, because of which I assure you in the name of the Lord that your descendants will increase in number as the stars in the sky and as the sand on the seashore." So, devotees, this story also replicates the same theme, that is, complete submission to the words of the Lord without any hesitation, as discussed in Sri Sai Satcharitra by Hemant Panji. Similar incident is also narrated in the Holy Quran. All these instances testify that the divine sport of Sri Sai Maharaj is replicating the philosophies of other religions also. This story talks about Ibrahim's sacrifice. One night, Ibrahim experienced a dream in which Allah told him to sacrifice Ismail, his beloved son. At first, Ibrahim believed this was the devil playing tricks on him, so he disregarded it. However, he got the same dream the following night. Then he realized that this was indeed the message of Allah. Though Ibrahim loved his son Ismail, he was ready to obey to the command of the God. He took his son to the top of Mount Arafat, carried a knife and rope along with him. Now the God has decided to test Abraham. Abraham told his son the reason for bringing him up the mountain. Ismail, the most obedient child, obliged to the wishes of Allah, suggesting his father to tie his hands and legs so that he would not struggle, and asked his father to blindfold himself before he strikes the knife upon him so that he need not see him suffer. Abraham heeded to the suggestion of his son. He raised his hands with the knife and struck on his only son. When he took off the blindfold, he saw the body of a dead ram in front of him, whereas his son Ismail stood intact in front of him. He repented for not following the orders of Allah, and just then he heard a voice saying that Allah looks after his followers and everything happened as per the will of the God. So he need not take charge of his actions, and the goat was offered as qurban as per the wish of Allah. This miracle imparts the lesson of obedience and sacrifice. Thus, Abraham passed the test and proved his dedication and devotion to serving the Creator. So, devotees, both Abraham and Abraham's test for obedience and devotion by the Creator was passed successfully, and the goat was sacrificed in the place of the son of these two followers. Similarly, in Sri Sai Satcharitra, Dikshit Ji's complete submission and Guru Bhakti was tested by Sri Sai Maharaj, and a goat was used by the Supreme Incarnation, Lord Sri Sai Baba, as an instrument to demonstrate it. Ultimately, Dikshit Ji passed the test of Guru Bhakti, obedience, complete submission, and proved he is a devotee par excellence. Sri Sai Baba has corroborated through the above miracle that abiding to the words of the Guru, word to word, is the greatest virtue to be possessed by a devotee. Sri Sai Satcharitra is a garland of verses woven by Hemant Panji in a very decorous style. He always commences the chapter by submitting his salutations to the Lord, then to the Guru, followed by some philosophical truths. Next, he expounds the significance of devotion to Guru by including few astounding miracles relevant to the subject, then highlights the importance of surrendering at the feet of the Lord. This is the approach followed by Hemant Panji while penning down Sri Sai Satcharitra. Now, we have reached the concluding part of this chapter, and before ending it, Hemant Panji usually gives a gist of the following chapter, and here he mentions that the next chapter is filled with enthralling stories and an array of jokes that would entertain the readers, revealing the light-hearted and mischievous nature of our Sadguru Sri Sai Maharaj. Hemant Panji has titled the next chapter as Splendid Humor. Sri Sai Maharaj used every opportunity to steer his devotees into the right path, be it a cheerful moment or a challenging situation. Chapter 24 of Sri Sai Satcharitra is a very small section containing just 144 poetic verses, and it contains 2 to 3 hilarious miracles, and when focused, we can understand how Sri Sainath utilized even those jovial moments to impart a moral to his devotees. Hemant Panji has been repeatedly underscoring that he is only an instrument in the hands of Sri Sai in writing this divine literature, and it is Sri Sai who is recording his own Leelas. The author feels that even to give a gist of what he is going to narrate in the next episode is a revelation of his ego. Hence, Hemant Panji says, I am just putting my best efforts to share whatever is possible, devoid of any sense of pride. Devotees, this is very true. How can one measure the greatness of the Supreme God, Sri Sai Baba? It is unfeasible. Hence, with all humility and gratitude, Hemant Panji submits himself at the holy feet of Sri Sai and continues to narrate the next chapter as inspired by the divine incarnation Sri Sai Maharaj. In the 9th OV of chapter 24, Hemant Panji gives a very beautiful analogy. He says, people are neither blind nor they suffer from night blindness. But if they think that they are the body, then it means they are incapable to discriminate good from bad, and such people, even if they have good eyesight, they can be considered as blind. Though Hemant Panji made it a practice to include philosophical truths in every chapter, that was always relevant to the subject discussed in the later part of the chapter and never beside the topic narrated. Let us now contemplate on the 9th OV and its significance. The term Guru is a two-syllable word. Gu means darkness or ignorance, and Ru is the one who dispels darkness or ignorance. So, Guru dispels ignorance. There is another meaning to this term Guru. It is also called as Gunatītar, Rupatītar, that is, the one who transcended the gunas, that is, attributes, and Rupam, that is, form. So, Guru is also the one who has surpassed all the virtues and forms. As per Datta Puranam, Sri Dattatreya had 24 gurus, which even comprises of a servant and certain elements of nature such as the sky, a spider, and so on. This is a testimony to the fact that a guru can be a Gunatītar and Rupatītar. Again, when we say the guru dispels darkness of ignorance, how is it done? It is said that the guru does by applying eyeliner to the devotee, to the eyes. One may question if that is feasible. Yes, in the earlier episodes, we listened to a song sung by a devotee known as Aurangabadkar. The verses are Guru Kripanjano Payo Mere Bai. And this Leela was narrated by Hemant Panji in the context of describing about Sri Sai Maharaj encouraging good thoughts, and when one surrenders at the holy feet with love and devotion, Guru would see to that it will be fructified. Here the words Guru Kripa means the grace of the Guru, and Anjana is the eyeliner. By applying the grace of the Guru as an eyeliner, the devotee is granted self-realization. Let me share another correlation to this. At the time of the birth, if the child's head comes out first from the mother's womb, that is termed as Shirshodayam. And if the child's legs come out, then it is termed as Prishthodayam. The first one is the most common type of delivery, whereas the second one is a rare one. So, when a child is born as per the second condition, that is Prishthodayam, there is a belief that eyeliner must be applied to the eyes of this baby, indicating it to find the hidden treasure. This was one of the custom which echoes the words Guru Kripanjano Payo Mere Bai. wherein the Guru applies his grace as an eyeliner to the devotee to find the Supreme God hidden in him. Devotees, at various instances, Hemad Panji has mentioned the most popular adage that says Mata, Pita, Guru and God. In this order, the mother comes first as she gives birth to the child, the father nourishes the child, and the Guru liberates the soul from the cycle of birth and death, leading him to God. So, it is apparent that only Guru can grant moksha, that is liberation, and this has been very beautifully asserted by Hemad Panji in various chapters of Sri Sai Satcharitra. A miracle of Sri Sainath to Hemad Panji in chapter 24 replicates the philosophical truth expounded in one of the verses of Kathopanishad, as it resounds the core subject of the sloka in this Upanishad. So, before giving his explanation on this sloka, Hemad Panji is citing the hidden meaning of another sloka which talks about the blindness of people in discriminating good from the bad. This is mentioned in the first chapter, section 2, fifth sloka of Kathopanishad. What is this sloka about? How does it reflect the holy Tirumantiram, and how is Hemad Panji associating this sloka to the miracle of Sri Sai Maharaj? All these mind-boggling details we shall discuss in detail in the coming episode. Bow to Sri Sai. Peace be to all. Om Sai Ram.